How to understand special education assessments. Hello, my name is Mariana Leñero. I'm a neuropsychologist and I have worked conducting neuropsychological assessments for more than 20 years. In this unit, I will give you the information to help you understand what the scores of your child's standardized tests mean. At first glance, the results from your child's assessments can intimidate you, but once you understand them, they can be an important tool in recognizing your child's strengths and weaknesses. To understand the whole assessment process, I recommend that you watch the video titled Introduction to Special Education Assessments. As I explained in that video, there are 4 pillars covered in evaluation. One of the pillars includes the norm reference test or standardized test. The 2 objectives of this test are to describe your child's performance in reference to his peers, to give you the specifics about your child's deficits and strengths, and this will be extremely helpful when tracking your child's progress throughout his or her therapy. When getting the results of a norm reference test, it's crucial that we analyze both the numerical results and also your child's performing during the assessment process, considering factors such as how the student receives the instructions, the attention span, if he or she was able to take turns, his or her motivation, and determine if these aspects influence or not the numerical results of the test. Let's begin. When talking about the numerical results, it is important to be familiar with the standard scores, standard deviation, the bell curve, and percentiles. All of these will be covered in this video. On the next slide, please imagine that the chart you see represents all the children in the total population that show significant similar characteristics. For example, kids with the same age, same native language, etc. This sample will then be used to compare your child to others in his group. If we represent the standard scores in a graphic, the 100 is the average score, and most of the children with the same characteristics fall in this section. On the right of that middle point, we will find the students that fall in the above range. This means that the child's performance is better than the average student with the same specific traits. The same goes for the left side. The farther away from the middle point average, the more significant the deficit. Depending on the test, the range may vary. Now, you can see a bell curve. Using the Wechsler Intelligence Score as an example, let's go over some of the numerical information regarding the standard scores, where we can see a child in the below average score. In this test, the average range is between 90 and 110. Scores falling between 89 and 80 are considered to be in the below average range. Scores falling below 80 are considered to be low. These scores are significantly different from the mean and indicate that a student demonstrates significant deficits either in cognitive ability or academic achievement compared to the same age peers. Students with the same scores are typically students with low incidence disabilities and may require intensive special education support and services. On the other side of the graphic, we have the above average scores. Scores falling between 110 and 119 are considered to be in the high average range. Scores above 119 are considered to be in the superior range. These scores are significantly different from the mean. Students with test scores in the superior range may be considered for gifted programs. It is important to clarify that this scale doesn't apply to children with an intellectual disability or Down syndrome. A person that has an intellectual disability with mental deficiencies is someone with an IQ below 70. The IQ denominations for them are limited 50, 55 to 70, mild 35 to 49, severe 20 to 34, profound 20 or less than 20. Now let's transfer what we know onto this bell curve. The same rules apply. In this graphic, the majority is in the middle, the tallest point of the bell, and the results that are less common are on the sides. Low averages on the left, high averages to the right. If we talk about the term standard deviation and percentiles, now we can understand the meanings. The standard deviation is how far a test score can fall away from the average. For example, a standard test score of 89 is one standard deviation away from the average. If it's less than 79, it's two standard deviations away from the average, and so on. The farther away the test score gets from the average, the less common it is, and the standard deviation is bigger. Now let's transfer what we know onto this bell curve and explain the percentiles ranges, the standardized test. In the case of this slide, we can see that the percentile of the child is 90%. This means that the only 9% of children responded the way he or she did, and 91% responded better than the student did. Now, let's talk about another different kind of scoring, using the T-score. T-scores are another method of depicting a person's score. In this context, a T-score of 50 is precisely average, with a normal range of roughly 40 to 60. Many common personality tests and behavior assessments use T-scores to represent the findings. You will often find this kind of scoring within the test as questionnaires. This test involves parents and teachers who will be asked to rank their child or student based on a certain behavior. For example, a statement will be made like, he or she has trouble following instructions, and the adults then have to choose between 0, 1, 2, or 3. 0 being an almost non-occurring behavior, and 3 being a very common behavior. The difference between this score is that the higher the score, the most difficult the area. For example, less than 40, no concerns or fewer concerns. 40 to 59, typical levels average. 60 to 69, elevate scores more concerns than are typically reported. 70 or more, very elevated scores, many more concerns. Before we finish, I would like to clarify that you have to bear in mind that in every exam there can be variation that taken place between scoring and understanding what the score means. However, you have the right to ask the specialist about what the average scores are in each exam given to your child. Thank you for your attention.